my son dies. And it's a great shock. For a sec, perhaps it may last a couple of hours or a couple of days, couple of years even. I'm in a state of shock from which the brain, to which it is not accustomed, wants to escape. Right? It wants to escape from this pain. And it finds some kind of escape. And it's satisfied with that. That's what generally takes place.
It builds on that.
It relies on that, it escapes from that, and it feels satisfied with that. Then what is the next question?
The next question is it possible for the brain to remain with the shock?
It has escaped.
But before it escapes...
Well, now we are asking a different question. Before it escapes, can it remain with that shock, get over that shock, maybe a couple of days, couple of years, couple of weeks, get finished with it, and not move away from that, from the loss of the son which has caused pain. Is that it?
Yes, yes.
That's what you're asking. Of course it can.
No. Now I want to ask you one thing. What is meant by getting over the shock?
Getting over the shock in the sense, I've escaped, I've eased, my nerves have relaxed, my whole organism is more or less at ease. In other words, I've forgotten, I want to forget the pain of that day.
No, you used it in another sense. You said, instead of escaping, can it remain with that?
Of course it can.
Get over the shock
And
yet
remain.
remain with it.
Yes.
Now I'm asking you, what is getting over the shock in terms of remaining with sorrow?
Yes, that's simple enough. Don't escape.
What do you mean, don't escape? What do you mean, don't escape?
Don't escape.
But who's going to don't escape? The brain is don't escape?
No. Realize, the brain realizes the escape in any form is futile. Any form of suppression, any form of comfort, tears and all that childish stuff.
Can the brain do that?
Yeah, of course it can.
In other words, you're saying you don't think the brain, or the habit of the brain is to immediately start solving problems.
Yeah.
Immediately starts, the habit is to get solutions.
We said that
Yes.
the other day.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yes.
We said the other day that thought creates the problems, and then the brain is trained to solve the problem. So it keeps in the cycle. Invent, have problems, and resolve problems. And the resolution of problems becomes the problems itself. So it's perpetually living in problems.
Yes, always throwing up new self-definitions too. That's the habit, and
That is the condition.
yes. That's the conditioning,
So
that's the
my,
total,
my conditioning, when my son dies, is to escape.
yes. Well, to do something, I mean,
Of course, escape, to cry, to howl, to lean on somebody and go to temple, to go to a mosque,
Yes.
whatever it is you do.
that's the habit.
So that's the habit. Now, can that habit realize it's a habit, and it is futile, that habit, and put it away? Of course. Of course it's possible.
That means that in the middle of shock, in the center of sorrow, there can be an awakeness which watches the escape,
What?
which watches the tendency to escape.
Now, Prabhuji, I lost my son. I've heard you or him or her say to me, don't escape. Because that's futile. That has also that statement has been recorded in my brain. And that record keeps on repeating. And when my son dies, that record says, don't escape. And it becomes tremendous problem not to escape. If I am alert enough, I say, all right, I won't escape, and I'll remain with the problem, with my son's, the pain of my son's death. I remain with it.